Planning Posse people. Woohoo! This is Flora Sage, and I am so excited to interview Jodie Harvala this month for your bonus interview series. I'm so excited. So, without further ado, welcome, Jodie.
Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing this month? Super excited to be here. Thank you, Flora. Flora and I love each other, and
Yes.
she was my coach for a while, so I'm super excited to be here.
Woohoo!
Love it. I love it.
And you just took the coaching and just ran with it, and that's the good thing. I'm glad that you brought that up, is because a lot of people think that once they hire a coach, they need to be with that coach for a long time, and that's not the purpose of a good coach. The purpose of a good coach is to give their clients tools so that they can just go, oh my God, thank you so much, and then run with it so that they don't need the coach anymore. So,
or can come back if they need to. Like, I always tell, like, we talked a lot about, like, everyone needs a coach. It helps.
Yes.
Like, I don't care if it's your personal life or your business life. Everyone needs a coach.
I absolutely agree. So, with that said, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do and who you serve?
Okay, so my name is Jodie Harvala. I live in the beautiful Fargo, North Dakota, and I've lived here since I was little, like 5. And yes, it gets as cold as everyone thinks, and but I'm a snow girl, so I love to ski and all that good stuff. I have 2 boys and a husband, so really 3 boys, a couple cats. So we're busy. You know, my son just turned 14, so I definitely have a teenager in the house. And I'm a psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and author. I own my own business. So I have a lot going on. I got a lot of stuff in my life, and this woman right here was one that helped me kind of put a lot of the pieces together, but I have a really fun life too. So I think, and so much magic is in my life. So I'm really excited to talk to this whole group today, because it takes some work to get there, but once you kind of get on the roll, it becomes a little bit easier.
Oh, absolutely. So I love that you shared your whole, like, you know, you got kids and cats and all. And
oh yeah.
I love it because most of the people here in the Planning Posse have a very busy life. They're either, you know, working a job and then have, you know, family and spouses and everything else. Well, not spouses, just one spouse, hopefully.
Never know these days.
Right, yeah. But they also, you know, many of the people here are also entrepreneurs as yourself. And so trying to find the harmony between all of that is sometimes kind of crazy. So you haven't always been, you know, as successful as you are now. But, you know, one of the things that really helped you get there is planning. So tell us some of your experiences with planning in the past and what you've tried, and what your experiences really have been with, you know, trying to find plans, trying to be able to stay organized, trying to figure out goals, and how to kind of weed through all the hullabaloo that is planning.
Yeah. You know, I sucked at planning, as Flora well knows. I'm very off the cuff. I like to just kind of go through my day as I'm spiritually led, which in some ways was my excuse for not planning. And so just know that I know that about you people. And some of it was, I just was so unorganized, and I was never taught to be organized at all. And some of the things, like, I've tried every system under the sun, like, and it just never worked for me. Like, nothing ever quite felt right. Mm-hmm. And when I started, some of it was when I started working with Flora, and I worked with other coaches too, but some things that worked for me was I had to start planning from my needs out. And normally I would plan from everyone else's needs, like my kids and my husband and my cats and my friends and my parents and whatever. And then I would try to fit me in. Mm-hmm. And I was so pissed all the time, and I was so resentful because I never planned for me first. And so one of the biggest things is I have a big calendar, like one of those big, huge wall calendars, because then everyone sees it and they can't tell me they can't see it. And that's one planning thing, is I get a big calendar so no one can tell me they can't see it. And I actually marked stuff off for me first. I marked off during the month, there's a couple different days that I just need catch-up time for myself, so I mark that off. And then I mark my vacations off. Actually, I think I do my vacations first because that's most important. Yes. And then I marked off business stuff. And then I marked off school day off, because that's something that impacts my business, because I'm an entrepreneur, and not as much as it used to. And then once I did that, then I looked to see, okay, Eli, do you have any stuff that you want to do? Or the kids, do you have anything that you want to do? Mm-hmm. And they don't always like that system because, especially my husband, he's like, what, I come in last? I'm like, you don't have the big calendar. So,
Right?
And one of the pieces I think was for us, my husband and I, to work through was I do run the house. Like I do. It's my job. It's part of my job because I'm here. Mm-hmm. And he had to let go of some of that control. And I had to take some of that, I don't want to say control, but I had to embrace that piece. That helped a lot because he can't do it. He's working, 50, 60 hours a week. He's not going to be capable of doing what I'm doing because I just have more freedom, period. Yeah. So I think to find some harmony in myself, that is my piece, was a big, big piece for me. And that big calendar and marking things off for the year, holy shit, I would have never done that before. Ever, never. I would have never done that before. Like a whole year plan? What? Never. And I don't plan everything. Right. I plan the big pieces that really are important to me. Yeah. That was a big deal for me this year, for sure. Pre-planning some of the vacations and things like that.
Yeah. I remember when I first brought this up to you, you're like, I can't do that. No.
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. Like, so am I. Yeah. And I'm just like,
pretty sure there was some swear words in that conversation.
Yes. And you were, I just like, just trust me. You just trust me. And you had faith in me. You had faith that, okay. Yeah. Because I'm so there. And I mean, I think probably 99.9% of the people watching totally resonate with that. Well, I'm a spirit-led entrepreneur. I really want to just be in my intuition when I'm living my life, whether they have a business or not. And so sometimes planning your entire year can feel restrictive. It can feel, if you haven't done it before, can feel like, well, I don't want to put myself in a box. But I love that you mentioned, yes, vacation days first. I do the exact same thing. Vacation days first, school planning, or all the school outings, or if they have days off or whatever. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people, until they do it, they don't realize how much freedom it actually gives you. Because when you can actually, at a glance, see your entire year and go, oh yeah, I've got this launch this day, or I'm taking vacation this day, mentally you can let go because you don't have to keep all of it in your head, which is what a lot of people do, unfortunately, is they keep a lot of it in their head.
Yeah, I still get busted by, I'm in a little mastermind and I get busted on that Sunny, Sunny, busted all the time. She's like, write that shit down.
Yes.
And it does help. Actually, part of my mental harmony is writing stuff down. I might have 6 tablets, I'm going to be honest. Don't tell Sunny. But at least it's on my tablets, like, and I have like one for creative and one for this. Like, I wouldn't need that, but I'm baby steps, right? So the harmony is getting it out of my head, and what I loved, one of the things she talked about was getting it out of your container. And she's like, empty your container, then you can fill it with nicer stuff. And I was like, oh, that makes sense to me. So another big thing for harmony for my mental head. My head is so busy all the time, paper and actually writing it down, which was also something that you did in your coaching, especially on my business side. But then I also started on the personal side too, because I have just as much in my head around the kids and Eli as I do around my own personal stuff and my business stuff and, whatever else shows up in my life. So, yep, definitely. Paper and pen, best friend.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love it. It rhymes too. Paper and pen.
I'm going to use that. We should write that down.
Write that down. I know.
That's tweetable.
Yes, it is. I love it. Oh my gosh. So tell us about a pivotal experience or that pivotal moment in your life when you knew that beyond a shadow of a doubt that you had to learn or create a planning or just use a planning system. I mean, what was that pivotal experience or that moment where like, whoa, I got to get my crap together and I have to start planning?
When I was considering that question, and, one of the things that came to mind, and this is a little bit, I don't know, it's emotional, but it was so good, is Eli's mom, my husband, she passed away from cancer a few years ago. And shortly after is when I went into coaching with you. And one of the things that I saw was that everyone's life just stopped because she had pancreatic cancer. And so she lasted like 18 months, which is unheard of for pancreatic cancer. But when it got down to the last 3 months, I saw that everyone just stepped away from their normal life. And they just did, because that's what they needed to do. And they were with her, and they were with the dad, and they were at the farm, and most of them had to fly in and stuff. And I remember my husband, he would call me, and I'd be like, well, are you going to come home tomorrow? Because they never knew, like, day to day. And he's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, every time I go to even walk to my truck, I have anxiety. And my husband doesn't get anxiety, but he's like, I just get so anxious, and he was upset. And I just said, you know what, Eli, just stay there. Just stay. You don't have to come home. You know, his boss's mom had just passed away, so he understood it, which I thought, oh, thank you, because not all bosses get that piece. Right. And I kept thinking to myself, I don't ever want to be in a position where we have to consider our paycheck to be able to take time off to go spend with a loved one that's dying. Right. Like, that was his worry. Because we lived a lot on his. I wasn't doing all that well a few years ago at that time. Or it was not consistent at all. And I just thought, nope, I need to figure something out, because I have the business that I can grow and expand that doesn't have a ceiling like his work. Right. And it was right after she passed away, there was just something in me that shifted and moved that opened myself up to just take some chances and do things in a different way than I always have, because I wanted something different. Yes. You know, and I still fight some of those systems, and I still have my weeks or my months even once in a while where I'm fighting the system. But then I just have to remind myself, do I want that, or do I want something bigger and different, and the freedom? And freedom's always such a big deal for me. Yeah. You know, so that was a big moment that I didn't expect that to come out of it. Nice. You know?
Well, I love that you shared that you wanted something different, so you knew you had to do something different.
I had to do something different. Yes. Yeah, I had to do something different. Yeah. Because I kept showing up the same way. Yeah. But I also didn't know how to show up different, so I had to hire someone, and actually several someone to get me there. So I think asking for help was, I remember looking at, I saw the contract for my coaching, you know, and it's a big investment. And he was like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, I'm changing our future. Nice. And he didn't fight me at all. Nice. And I just thought, oh, if he's not fighting, then I am not in any conflict inside of myself about this at all. And so asking for help to learn how to find some systems that work for me, that also was a big deal. That's huge. Because I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah. Well, and so many people flounder. They think, I don't have the money to do this, but I'm stuck and I want something different, but I don't know what to do. And so they try to reinvent the wheel, and they try to do it on their own. And, you know, I was right there with you. I mean, I had many times in my business where I knew I needed to do something different and felt like I couldn't afford it. I'm just like, shit, I can't afford this. And then I'm like, stop, no, wait a minute. Can I really not afford it? I can't really afford to stay where I'm at. I have to be able to do this. And so I whipped out the credit card, or I sold more readings, or opened more spots up for coaching or something, so that I could bring in the extra cash, so that I actually could make the investment in my future. And I love that you said that this is for our future. And he's like, okay, you know, and that's so true. And I love that you kind of felt that fear but did it anyway. And it's like, but that feeling of, I can't stay where I'm at, I need to figure this out, and you took the shortest possible route. That's the thing that so many people, I love that you brought that up, thank you, because so many people think, you know, that they have to do it on their own, or that they can't afford making the investment in themselves in somebody else with coaching or a book even, or even a class. And that's huge because that's that pivotal moment where people actually start to see results. And that's the thing that every person in this planning posse has done. They've taken this step and they've said, I haven't been able to maintain a regular planning routine. I haven't maintained or, you know, like been able to stick with something, maybe a few things, but not regularly. And they've all taken a step and they've invested in this planning posse and in their future. And I love that you brought that up, because that is the moment where the universe says, we got your back. You made the investment, you took that step. We will support you even more. And that's when a floodgate of doors open. Huge.
For sure. And at the time, the difference that I felt in that time when I made that particular decision is I was doing it mindfully. I wasn't doing it out of desperation. Because typically I would be in desperate, I'm going to pay for it. And we still have one very small credit card, so we don't do the credit card thing. So when I need to create, I have to create it. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to invest, I need to do some work here. And what was different in that decision is I had worked through all of that piece, like journal and burn and go through everything. And I just was so, I remember our first call, I was like, no, I'm doing this. Like, no. And you're like, oh, you can, take some time. I'm like, no, I'm figuring this out. Because it wasn't out of desperation. And I still, to this day, if I'm in a desperate mode, I will not put anything out there. I won't make any decisions for the family. My son is supposed to go to a different high school, and he wants to go to the other high school. Yeah. And I was like, let me sit with it, because I want to be very clear that when we approach the school, that I'm doing it not because I'm trying to force the issue.
Yeah.
So I think that's important too.
Oh, yeah.
Move through the desperation from your sharing. That is a part where we get kind of caught up, because we get caught up in that desperation, and then you're just playing catch up. And I've done that for years. So that for harmony, I try not to make decisions in my desperation.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, and I love that you brought up harmony again, because that's something that a lot of people, and I have a class called Balance versus Harmony, which everybody, I'm sure watching this.
Love that.
I know. I'm just like, yay. And I, in that class, I encourage people to strive towards harmony instead of balance. And so why don't you share with us how you've created and kind of planned for harmony in your life and your business?
Yep, for me, I sound very selfish, but I'm okay with that, because I plan from me, like what is going to make it comfortable for me. Not that I'm not going to be in a place of stretching myself, but for a great example, this is a great example. I'm going on a cruise in the spring, and my husband and I have not taken a vacation for, 15 years, like by ourselves without the kids. Mm-hmm. And we both were like, can we do it? Can we leave the kids? Our kids are plenty old enough. Like, they're 14 and 10. It's plenty old enough. Yeah. Like, give me a break. And we're both just like, oh my God. Like, we're so excited. And then there's a part of us that showed up with the deserving. Oh my God, do we deserve this? I'm like, hell yes. I praise these kids. Yes. And I thought, okay, so what is really going to be something that's going to make us both comfortable? And for sure, a group of people is going, because that felt more fun to us. Daycare, or like someone to watch the kids, big deal for me, because, and my husband. And so the harmony piece is finding people to watch our kids that we both felt really good about. And my sister-in-law was going to watch them, and then she's got some stuff going on, so she totally bailed on the plan. And I was like, shit, now what? And I was like, no, this is okay, because something else is going to come. Yeah. And it turns out my nephew's, or my cousin's going to watch him along with two other friends. So my boys have like all of these boy college kids that are going to hang for the week. My poor house. But I felt so good about that, because I thought, oh my God, not only do we get to have fun, but they're totally going to have fun too. Yes. And so when I plan, I try to plan with what are my old crazy habits. Like I get nervous about the kids, so I make sure that feels good. I get nervous about, like, we had to order passports. Oh my God, I've never done passports before. I'm such a grown-up, and so I had to look over the paperwork and make sure that everything was in line and get them, 6 months early. And I like to plan things and, like, get the hotel room booked. It's 4 months out. I don't really need to do that. But I know that my energy will hang there. And if it's just hanging there, then I'm like freaking out about it. So I really kind of think ahead to what my crazy things are and try to deal with those first. Because even planning my calendar this month, I know December is a really busy month for us school-wise, kid-wise, and I know July is too. Yeah. So I took and X'd off the whole month. Are you not proud, Flora?
I am very proud of you, yes.
You should be proud of that. And because I know that July is kind of like our family travel month, or we go to the lake a lot or whatever. And so I'm not going to try to do a class because it's not going to work for me. So for me, I really have to think ahead and think about like if I'm I don't know I don't know that it's a good idea to do this, but I just plan for my crazy part because then she's taken care of.
Good. Yes, that's very good.
Then she's taken care of.
Yes.
I knew that this year's the first year that I've had 8 to 5 open for myself, or 8 to 3 before the kids come home. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I could piss away that whole day in like nothing. I knew I would. And so I was like, nope, I need to be in some kind of something where I have some kind of someone like pushing me and checking on me and whatever. But I knew I didn't need a big, huge thing. I just needed someone that I needed to report to. So I'm in this smaller mastermind that just happened to show up when I asked for it. Just happened to show up.
Jeez, I wonder how that happened.
I wonder how that happens. So I really try to plan for my worst self, because then she's taken care of.
Nice.
Like, it's out of the way. And then my best self has the room to grow and expand. So for me, might not work for everybody, but that's the harmony inside of myself, because otherwise she takes over. My crazy self.
God, I love that. I love that so much.
I think I just got the clarity that that's what I do, and I thought, oh, that's good, Jodie. That's actually really good.
That would be such a good class. That would be such a good class, because I think
I was going to say, I should do a class on that. Yeah. That's funny. We both should.
Yes. Well, I think everybody here can identify with that best self and the crazy self, the one that's like the overthinker, the one that's being tired and you're just like, with low energy, I don't feel like doing crap today, or oh my God, you get sucked into Facebook and then YouTube and then Instagram, and you're like, oh my God, it's 12 and I haven't done shit.
Yep. Totally. That is totally my bad self. It also helps on holidays. Yes. At Christmas time. And again, this kind of goes against some of the law of attraction stuff, but it also takes care of some of that for me too. Like at Christmas, my husband was planning a Hallmark Christmas and didn't really fill me in until like 2 days beforehand. I'm like, you need cookies and frosting, and you need a big meal, and we got your sisters coming, and 2 of them don't get along, and blah, blah, blah. Like, we had all of this bullshit. And I'm sorry, I swear a lot.
That's okay.
Like all this stuff, and so I just sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to plan for their crazy selves too, because number one, I'm mindful enough to know what's coming, because my husband's like, oh, it'll just work itself out, and I'm like, yeah, the only way things work themselves out is because I'm the one doing it. And so we had to have a conversation about that, but we had the best Christmas because I did really plan for everyone's crazy selves. Yay. And then it's all taken care of, so there's a little bit more work behind the harmony piece for me. But I'm also a natural control freak and a natural leader. And so it works if I'm not, I left all the room for the play, and I just took care of all the little stuff that would drive people crazy. Nice. So for me, pre-planning for everyone's crazy actually kind of works for me. Because then my control freak gets, fulfilled, and I know his family is a bunch of control freaks, so I leave them room to control whatever they want to control, but I take care of, like, the crappy stuff, so we don't have to deal with it. Oh, and it gives my head something to do.
Yes. So good. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to give everybody the link to your website for sure, of course. And please let us know. So everybody watching this, sign up for Jodie's free gift, whatever it is, so that you can be on her list, so that we can all attend this class that she's going to have, where she talks about, planning for crazy, but hoping for the best, or whatever she calls it, because that is so epic. I mean, that is so freaking epic. I love this.
Planning for your crazy self. Well, I can get away with that. I love fun titles like that.
Yes. Well, and
what was that one I did? What the fuck do I want? I think I did a class on that too.
I love it. And then because so many people can relate, so many people can identify, like, I don't even know what the fuck I want. What do I want today? And it's like, I don't know. And it's perfect. It's so perfect.
Yeah. I think we've been talking on a coaching session. I'm like, well, my people don't even know what the fuck they want. And she's like, oh, we'll do a class on that. And it was one of my biggest classes that year.
Yes. Well, and that's because we've
never been taught how to figure it out.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just like, and how people figure it out is they just wing it, or they hire somebody who's been there, done that. And if you're feeling as an entrepreneur that you don't know what the hell you're doing, okay, your people are probably feeling the same way. So offer your strategy on how do you figure out what it is that you want, And when we do that, that's when we have those biggest breakthroughs. That's when we have those biggest lessons. And that's huge. That's when we have those breakthroughs that kind of stop us in our tracks and we go, wow. And you all of a sudden you feel this huge amount of gratitude because you felt the crazy, or you planned for the crazy, or because you felt like, I don't know what the fuck I want. And then you trusted in your intuition and in your peeps to guide you to the perfect solution for you at this point, at like this place and moment in your life. So with that said, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned during this whole planning journey, learning how to plan and this whole journey that you've been on?
I needed to plan from myself.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that has been, I never put myself first. I very much grew up in that family where, you sacrifice yourself for everyone else and blah, 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 that bullshit, and victim and, all of that stuff, martyr. I'm really good at all those games. But what I've learned is if I plan from me first, in a mindful way, not all about me, but if I plan for me first, everything in my life just goes much more smooth. Like whether it's classes, if I'm not interested in the class, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But or trips or family trips or things like that, I always plan for me first because I know for me, I just know that works best. So trusting me and myself and what I feel and what I knew Eli's sister was going to bail. Like, I knew it. But my husband was like, no, it's going to be great. And they talked about it at Christmas and all was well. And inside I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. I'm totally going to, that's going to fall apart. Yeah. And within 3 weeks, it fell apart. Yeah. And so I told my husband, I said, I'll never not trust that part of me again. Like, I'll never second guess around family because that's usually where I kind of let it have some freedom because it's family. You got to give them a chance, whatever. And she can't help what came up. It's not a big deal. But trusting and planning from me, that was the biggest piece for me, and asking for the outside help. Yes. And being okay to tell someone, I don't have control of my laundry. Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, how do I do this? And I've had coaching with you, but with a couple other coaches where we spend the whole hour talking about laundry.
Yes.
And it's like, this is such a waste of time, but it wasn't because it was such an energy drop. There's so many things I've learned, but I really think planning from how I work. I know myself better than anyone else in the world. So I know what I can get away with and what I can't get away with.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's my biggest piece.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for that because, I love that you've shared so openly with us today. And, this is one of the things I actually have kind of coined the laundry factor in my coaching now. Because
you should, because it's true.
Yes. Well, that's the thing is that a lot of people, especially if you work from home, or even if you're not an entrepreneur and you work outside of the home or whatever, and you come home and you have a pile of laundry, and you're always thinking, I need to do that laundry, but I need to focus on this, but here's a freaking laundry, but I need to do this, and oh my God, there's freaking underwear all over, I need to do it, and that's the laundry factor, and the key is to just stop, do the freaking laundry, then focus on whatever it is that you need to focus on. And so many people feel that laundry factor is so petty and it doesn't matter, but that's just the thing.
It's huge.
It is. It's like...
It's huge. There are times where we're trying to do something and I'm like, just stop. We need to take a half an hour and clean up the house because it's so much for, like, if you're energetically sensitive, you just can't have that mess. It makes my head blow up out of my head. I just can't take it. Yeah. And so my husband and kids are finally kind of getting into the factor that if you just help a little bit, then I'll do the rest of it, but you got to do some, or investing in a house cleaner when we can, whatever. But that laundry factor and that like pulling of energy, that was one of the biggest things I learned from you is what's pulling my attention, what's pulling my power away from me. Yes. And that's a lot of times my crazy self, so I plan for her. Yes. So, totally get it.
I love it. Yay, I just love you. And I know my audience is going to love you too. So, with that said, share with our audience ways that people can, connect with you after this interview or outside of this interview. Any classes or any enrollments that you have going on right now or coming up. Just share with us anything that you want to for them.
Okay, so the first big thing that I want to share with you guys is I have a brand new group. My spirit really called to me at the end of the year to create a new community for people. It's called the Intuition Playground with Jodie Harvala, which I love. And we just work with everything magical. We talk about angels and intuition and fear and anger, and we swear, and it's a good community for people that want to just touch their toe into the spirit side, because for a lot of people it scares the shit out of them, and like I know that. And so I wanted to give people a place where they could not only get to know each other as a community, but also have some education around some of this stuff, around intuition. How do you trust it? How does it come through? All of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that would be the first place, because number one, it's free, which is awesome. So the Intuition Playground with Jodie Harvala is on Facebook. I also have thespiritschool.com, which is my baby. And my baby, Flora helped me have that baby. And it's not in session at this moment, but usually around, actually, I don't know, 2017, I'm not sure when it's being launched, because we're doing some kind of back-end stuff on it, but it's thespiritschool.com, and there's some free videos that you can go and at least watch and get started, and then it'll get you on the mailing list to know when that's going to be launched. So that's just still we're revamping some things with that. But it's my baby. I love it. If anything, just go look how pretty the design is, because it's awesome. And then my regular website is jodieharvala.com, and that's where you can book readings and space clearings. I do a lot of space clearing and past life fun and all of that kind of stuff. So those are the three spaces that are easiest to get a hold of me from in all of my services.
Yay! Awesome. Well, and I'm also going to link your business Facebook page. If you have an Instagram, I'm going to post all the links below so people can connect with you all over the web. Yay!
Woohoo!
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jodie, for taking time out of your schedule and hanging out with all of us.
Thank you. And I love women supporting women. I love it. I love, one thing that I love about Flora is she's always supporting different people, even if it's not that necessarily the same business, but similar. We do some of the similar work, and I just really am grateful that you open up your doors to other people that do things that are in the same vein of your same work, even though you have your own specialty. That to me right now in this year, I am loving that. I love it. So thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. And the more of us that are doing this work, the better and easier it is for everybody. And you
Amen.
And I and 20 other people could be teaching the exact same material, but it's going to come across 20 different ways, because
absolutely,
you have your energy vibe, I have my vibe, and I think the more of us that are out there teaching this, the more people we can impact, because each person will vibe with somebody else. And I love your energy. It's just so amazing.
Thank you. Yay. We're a good pair. Her and I, we're a good pair.
Yeah, we are. We need to collaborate and do more stuff.
We do.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all of your time. And for those of you watching, please click on all the links below. Sign up for a free gift. All of them.
Come on over and play.
Everywhere. Yes. And we will see you in the next Planning Posse party. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Thanks, Flora.
Yes, you're very welcome. Bye, everyone.